You know, I have coaching spots open right now. And it's not just for celebs, execs, or people who you might assume it's meant for. It's meant for you. Book your free consultation with the team at jeffreymarsh.com/coaching. This is your sign. On this episode of Inner Voice.
And I've continued that because, I'm early and I have ideas before they catch on. And, if I want them to happen, I can wait 10 years or I can do it myself,
Do you, when do you use it? When do you say it? When do you bring it up? When do you talk about it?
Well, I've just kind of, not recently, I've always felt uncomfortable with it, right?
Me too. Let's explore.
Okay, great. I've had to learn 10 different full-on full-time jobs, right? To just be able to do what I do. It's very hard. And now that we're talking about it, I do feel proud of myself. That does make me feel great. But most of the time I'm banging my head against my desk why does this have, why won't anyone get behind me?
It's just the truth. It's just the truth. I know it's hard to talk about, but
we bring it all into this show, and everyone is welcome, and all that we deal with as a community makes us the universal story. Was that my go? Was that
action? Yeah.
Independence isn't about doing it alone. It's about choosing who you're being with. Oh, no, wait. It's about choosing who you're being with every breath. Aren't I good?
You're sensational.
Aren't I a talented human being?
Is that Walt Whitman?
It's me? You're saying, is that Walt? Are you seeing Walt on the Zoom?
Independence isn't about... No.
Oh, the quote. Because I'm I don't see the resemblance, but I think it's a compliment that I'm Walt Whitman. Hi.
Yeah, I heard he was a talented.
I'm Jeffrey. Walt, it definitely was. I'm Jeffrey. I'm LGBTQ and happy about it. I'm proud all the months of the year. And I'm a Zen Buddhist, have studied. See, it makes me emotional. Zen Buddhist, I've studied for over 25 years, and I have 2 best-selling books. What are you gonna do? Today's podcast is about independence, going your own way, making it work within a system. And I'm so excited to talk about this, Zach, because it's what we do. Is it not?
Yeah. I mean, ironically, we're waiting on some emails from other people, but mostly... That's independent, mostly. It's part of it too. There you go.
Independently emailing people to remind them that you emailed them before. Yes. And the person we're talking to today, Scott, is, how do we say this? A legit bona fide TV star from daytime, from soaps, and made a path work. So Scott will tell you a little bit about his story. And this theme strikes me as being very, very LGBTQ, making things work. But of course, it's applicable to everybody. It's the universal story. When they slam a door in your face, you what? Make it
slam it right back. I'm sorry. What were you hoping for?
You pipe a window out of frosting, and then
Mother Abbess would say when God closes a door, he opens a window.
Is that from Sound of Music?
Yes. Mother Abbess. I said Mother Abbott.
Maybe it was from Nonsense. So I have some. You're the only person on earth who would laugh at that, Zach. Smile. It's off Broadway. People, go look it up. Okay, so we're in a mood. Have I told you? When Jeff and I, my lovely husband, who loves and accepts me, who I couldn't live without. When we're punchy like this, we say to each other in this exact tone, "Well, you're in a mood." So that's us today. I have some reminders for you while we're in the moment, while we're taking care of ourselves. And my reminders have become semi-famous. I was famous on Vine first, and those videos are 6.5 seconds. And this is, I realized the other day, this is basically just a string of vines. So I hope you're ready. Major awards and mainstream acclaim, ? They're real, but they're not required for someone's worth. And we're going to talk to Scott about that. We're also going to talk about the concept of being first at something. Really rich discussion and exciting. There's freedom in carving your own lane, even if sometimes that means you have no roadmap whatsoever. It's okay. Ooh, you want to say what's behind that?
Oh,
You're feeling it.
I mean, creatively, parenting, relationships. Where's the how-to book for any of it?
Inner parenting.
Yes. No. Sure.
All of it. Self-help.
I think we're all just throwing stuff into the ether until it works. I mean, yeah.
I don't know about anybody else. Well, you can tell me if this happened to you. When I was a kid, I remember the time that I figured out adults don't know what they're doing. Not in a negative way, but in like a just, oh, nobody knows what they're doing way.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Authenticity is its own revolution, and sometimes revolution doesn't come from the center. Now, this is not explicitly a political podcast, but sometimes you got to carve a new way. You got to think differently, and that's not going to be the most pleasing to everyone. I think that's the message. So you have a bio to read about Scott. I know Scott personally, and I love Scott as a human being. That's what you need to hear from me.
I do have a bio.
Excellent.
I have a bio for Scott Turner Schofield, our amazing guest. Today's guest is storyteller Scott Turner Schofield, an Emmy-nominated actor, consultant, and speaker who has redefined what's possible for trans representation in Hollywood. Scott's work doesn't just change minds, it opens hearts. His journey as a trans man in the public eye is both courageous and deeply human, and today we get to hear his wisdom, wit, and fiercely loving spirit up close. Please welcome Scott to Inner Voice.
Hi, Scott. You also have a friend with you.
Hello.
Can you explain, for the people watching the video, who's in the frame?
I'm solo pet parenting, and this is my dog, Harvey Milkbone. And Harvey's a little unpredictable, so I figured we would just try to...
When you say solo pet parenting, that's one word, solo, not so low pet parenting. We're so high.
And yeah. So here we go.
Okay, so I want to make sure everyone gets it correct. Scott Turner Schofield.
That's right. Thanks.
And you were the first openly, help me to say it right, on Bold and Beautiful. But help me say it correctly.
I was the first out trans actor in daytime television and the first out trans man to earn an Emmy nomination for acting.
Yes. Okay. So I have some firsts too, as you know, and they're okay for like a bio, but how do you feel about, for representation and tracking firsts? And because it's necessary, because we're going to talk today about you're an insider, but you also are a creator who is doing your own path, and you have that balance, right? And when I think of like the first such and such, that is a very industry type of reference point. I don't know if you feel me. Do you, like, when do you use it? When do you say it? When do you bring it up? When do you talk about it?
Well, I've just kind of, not recently, like I've always felt uncomfortable with it, right?
Me too. Let's explore.
Okay, great. Because like there have been trans people forever, right?
Right.
So to say the first just erases all of the trans people that came before. And I mean, so that's why we say the first out, right? But
Mm-hmm.
also, we don't know like who's out at work and who's not. You know what I mean? Like who's not out at
Mm-hmm.
work, right? We don't know all the people for whom it was just known, right? Really perfect example. I just came back from helping a very good friend execute the first, but this is truly the first Pride Parade in Shepherdstown, West Virginia, population 1,500. Okay.
I was like, in where? Shepherdstown.
Shepherdstown, West Virginia.
Uh-huh.
And while she was doing the research about queer life and queer history in, because the theme of the parade was queer history, right, and specifically the queer history of Shepherdstown. So while she was doing that research, she found that there had been a mayor who everybody knew was gay. His name was Silas Starry. He served from 1972 to 1980. He was called the Queen of Shepherdstown. Okay.
I mean,
Uh,
royalty.
okay. The hairstylist we visited had a shop then, and he came in and got in a slap fight with another hairstylist. Okay. So, like, all the sides. Oh, and like he was written up as having this, he had this like apartment above Main Street that had an enviable collection of art and antiques. All right. So, like,
Hmm.
every sign points, but Shepherdstown, West Virginia, 1972. That's before Harvey Milk. That's before Elaine Noble.
Well, and if I'm doing math correctly, how long are mayors mayors? This re-elected mayor somewhere between 72 to 80. Yeah.
And in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. And the hairstylist I was talking about, she said, well, back then, we didn't talk about the gaiety.
Are you sure? Didn't talk about cabarets, didn't talk about variety shows. Yeah, the gaieties. And
And so, like, this was a way
yeah.
everybody knew you didn't have to talk about it. And this was a way that this person who was very good for the town, he was an incredible mayor. So, this was like not talking about it was actually important in keeping this person who was very good at his job in his job at a time when to be out and gay was impossible. You'd be literally arrested. Okay.
Mm.
So I think about the Silas Starries, right? Like whenever anybody says I'm the first, I'm just like, no, that's not the case. Now, I will also say, in my defense, that it is hard, right? We look at folks who made their fortunes passing as cis, right? Uh, and then transitioned and lost all their friends, but
Mm-hmm.
the still had set themselves up in life, right? And we have a few examples of people who got nominated for Oscars, right? I mean, won Emmys, all these things before they came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I will stick up for myself and say being out and achieving anything is really hard, is much harder, right? So, okay, I'll like accept something, but also
Own that. Well, it's
ask me
also
to do that, and I'm not a capitalist. I can't own things.
well, I'll 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 hold you to it. Trust me, because I think you should own that in the sense that that particular world, soap opera time, is a universe unto itself, and becoming a part of that world. Can you review for me? I mean, this is just fun because I think I've seen the clips, but I did not go the complete way down the rabbit hole. What was the plot of that character? You were the something to the somebody, but what was the drama?
Yes. So you got to remember too, this was like early 2015. So this was
Mm-hmm.
just when like the tipping point. So we already had Laverne in Orange is the New Black, and we just had Transparent, right?
Mm.
Um, and you know, Transparent, another example of a cis actor playing a trans person.
Yep.
In our version on The Bold and the Beautiful, they chose a cis woman for her reveal, Maya Avant, played by the wonderful activist, incredibly full of integrity human Carla Mosley. Um, and So my Avant's big secret was that she was trans, and she was like madly in love with her boyfriend and knew that he was going to propose to her. And so she called back her like BFF from way back, Nick, and asked him to help her figure out how to do this. And then in the process of coming out, she her boss was going to fire her. And so my big dramatic scene is me with Torsten K, saying like, don't fire her, like it was much
Mm-hmm.
longer than that, but and getting to say like cool things, like, you know, you have your own back, and like,
Sounds like the bold and the beautiful. Very bold and very beautiful.
very bold and very beautiful.
And eventually, your path would lead you from in front of the camera to behind.
Mm-hmm.
And we're friends. I happen to know you personally. We never talked about this, but to me, that's an example of queer folks making it work. Right? When we start to get a dearth of chances in front of the camera, we make our path work. We forge our own way.
100%.
And that's really what the discussion I wanted to have with you today, because you were instrumental in then shaping what happened in front of the camera. And it's actually not a binary now that I'm talking about it this way. But, the narrative of euphoria and the representation that happened from a position of strength and power behind the camera. So can you talk about whether, because again, on a personal level, we never discussed it. Like, did you feel like it was, you would rather be in front? Did you feel like it was fun? Did you feel like it was a compromise somehow? What was that like, forgive the word, transitioning?
um, Euphoria was such a special case. And honestly, all of the productions that I've worked on, when you arrive on any set, whether you're an actor or behind the scenes, you're in the magic, right?
Mm.
And that's what it felt like to me. It was just like, I get to be in this, and I learned so much. And learning from behind the camera, who everybody is and how their parts coalesce and what makes something work, right? Not only was I there to ensure the safety of the trans actor and be there in case they need any kind of support, right? And I could get into it, but I won't. But right, like, and just in case they need any of that.
What are you deflecting there? It's my prerogative.
I can go. Here's the thing, Jeffrey. I can go off on these long tangents that are like educational, and something that I'm practicing that I would be interested to know what you think and your listeners is not explaining.
As a trans person, not explaining yourself? Shock of the century. Just yes.
Just as palatable
Say more.
without context as with context.
Say that again. Say that again.
I am just as palatable without context as with context.
Yeah, and you're just as powerful without context as with context. And, the idea that the obsession, well, let me go down a different cul-de-sac. The obsession, that trans people are fake. And so that's a predominant message we get from birth, right? Like, nobody sees you. I'll speak for myself. I took from that process, no, you can't trust yourself. You got to explain yourself, right? That's how I arrived at over-explaining. And the transition, again, that word, to
like Pee Wee Herman's word of the day, like
Cherry would be like, yeah, the transition to let go of explaining and just let cis people find their own way, figure it out. As someone who's in this industry where representation is also important, how did you find your way to letting go of explaining? Just out of frustration and tiredness?
Yeah, fatigue.
Yeah.
The summer of 2023, June of 2023, I gave 41 Pride presentations, like Trans 101.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
How
like,
many this year, Scott?
0.
Me too. I had one actually, but yeah.
But that was by choice, because also some stuff is going on where like maybe our industry is over, right?
Yes.
Right. But this was by choice. And I did one podcast where I spoke on a panel with a group of folks about trans youth, and I offered perspective,
Mm-hmm.
as someone who was formerly a trans youth. But I didn't have to teach anybody anything. And we got to go deep. I got to be authentically myself and not explain, but share. There's a
Love
huge
that.
difference, right? And I came from I think, partially naive, partially mistaken, the altruistic point of view that if I just educated people, they would understand and they would accept, and not only accept, but embrace us. And I will
Mm,
say,
yeah,
did
please
have a
say
lot.
it.
I did have a lot of those experiences. A lot of people were like, you know what? I didn't understand this. And so I felt this way about it. But now that I get it, thank you. I can just like move on with my day, which is like not quite embracing, but is what we want. Right. Um, but yeah, I just got so fatigued. And, honestly, with the politics of everything, I'll just tell you this, because maybe some other people experience it too. With the way that they appropriated trans identities for the express purpose of ushering in the radical right.
They? Who's they?
They,
Be
like
specific.
capital T, them, the way
Society.
that TERFs, anti-trans people,
Right.
Republicans.
Right. Let's be specific. Yes. Yep. Right.
We can't say that, but that's okay. Right, like the way that they did that, and I'm going to say they because it's using a pronoun, right? The way that they did that, I started honestly like having nightmares. I started waking up screaming. My wife was like, this is
Yes.
3 times in a week, you know, and I
Yes.
realized like this was doing something to my psyche, that
Yes.
being like a person like trying to hold up something that was collapsing. I just needed to step back from it. And you know what? I did it for 20 years. So
Yes. Okay. So you're talking about two different tracks. I want to dive into one part of it. So we're talking about two different tracks. The fact that from the golden age of DEI, whatever we want to define that as, to 2025, gigs have gone away for LGBTQ people. That's one thought that we touched on. But you're also talking about choosing not to explain and not to take any gigs that are even offered where you're doing an explainer of what it means to be trans, right? Because you're just feeling over that in your life, and I'm right there with you. But you also brought up, and I want to underline for people who may be listening who may not understand what our shorthand is about. The far right, if we just take them as an example, used trans people as a wedge to get money, elections, grifty influence stuff, right? This lying picture of trans people to get power and money. And you were talking about, well, that kind of means F it to you right now. Am I putting words in your mouth?
no,
not F explaining, but like, well, if that's how it's going to be, you know?
Are you putting words into my mouth that I just hadn't articulated yet? Because
Oh,
really, I'll tell you, the process of individuating from being the explainer, right? Which I'm saying the, not as in I'm the only one, but as in it's an archetype, um, has been really intense. It comes with so much guilt and shame and who am I, like being lost without that, right? Um, that I'm still really unpacking it like 2 years later.
mm,
Um, and so I don't know. It was just that I knew I was fatigued and I knew that I couldn't do it in the way that I was doing it anymore. And I swore off, I will never do another Trans 101. There are so many people who can do Trans 101s. I am not that guy. I will, there are other ways that I can do that that are deeper and that are more authentic to what I want to be doing in the first place, which is what we're really here to talk about today.
yes. Well, you're a celebrity. You're mega famous, independent film star, among other things, TV star, obviously. And is your age known on the internet? Can you give
Absolutely
me a,
not.
can you give me a, oh, you don't even want to talk about it. Okay. Well, I'll talk about me. I'm 48. And, I just got to the point where I was like, let the younger activists just do it. Just let them, if they've got the talent, the drive, the enthusiasm, let them just.
Yeah, I mean, when we started, or I mean, I'm out. I came out in 2000. I started my transition in 2000. Like by that I mean I
Yeah.
discovered that I was trans, right?
Yeah.
When did you?
To like later than that, 2010, 2012, like that.
So I figured this out, and this doesn't mean anything, but I figured this out in 2010, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
rather in 2000, right? That's 10
Mm-hmm.
years before anybody I know, actually, except people who are much older than me. I was very,
Yes.
I was still a teenager. Okay. And like Ryan Casada is the other person at that time who
Mm-hmm.
was around, who was also a teenager. And, that makes me like an elder now, which is not aligned
Sure
with
does.
how old I am. And it's true. Like at the time when I was doing that work, I was one of definitely under 100, under a dozen that of people that I actually knew or had heard of, right?
Yep.
People who were doing this work across the whole country. And so there was a lot of like responsibility to do this and, you know, getting it right and doing it for everyone, right? And now there are just so many. Like I just go on Instagram or TikTok, and it's just like amazing people bringing out nuances that I never even thought of that are wonderful and important. And like, so it's like, yeah, it's kind of like, I always go back. Um, oh, let's stop there. Because I'm blanking on the name and I'm not going to get it.
I also know that feeling as a 48-year-old.
But I finished what I was going to say.
Can I tell you something funny? I used to dislike, but along the lines of being a 48-year-old, I used to dislike it, but now I like it when a full-on adult person comes up to me and says, I used to watch your Vines in middle school. And they're like an adult in front of me. And I'm like, you mean back in the dark ages when we had to like crank our phone to make electricity run? We were a part of this. You and I both, we were part of this generation where we were, there's that word again, some of the firsts, but independent of the systems that were telling people what it's like to be us.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing about independence. Like when you invited me to do this, and I was just like really thinking about like what is independence, and like you're right. Like I have been independent this whole time. People use words like trailblazer and like groundbreaking and whatever, but like independent is really just what it was.
I love your tone of voice. Trailblazer, groundbreaking.
It's just and I'm uncomfortable with it because
Yeah.
people were blazing trails. Look, okay, Nick Adams at GLAAD said to me, and he's a very important
Yeah.
person. He is class of 1998 and has been doing trans representation work in Hollywood for 30 plus years. Okay, so
Yep.
like he's
Yep.
seen some shit. And he said to me, and it's never left me, he said, look, we're all in a field of shit. Pick up your shovel wherever you are and use it. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about spirituality because that sounds like Buddhism. I
Right? It
mean,
sounds like collect water, right? Like, right? Like,
we're getting through our karma together. Yeah.
and so there were people everywhere, and that's why I just get so bored of this because it's like it's also a form of making us unique so that therefore we are odd, we are not
Mm-hmm.
right. And actually I believe it is the norm for people to want other people to understand them, you know what I mean, and to tell stories and find ways to connect to other people. That is totally the norm. And so
Mm-hmm.
I just happened to be somebody who was doing it from one perspective, right? And it may be a rare perspective that people don't find so often, but it is the norm among us, right?
Of course.
That's why I just get so it's not the thing of feeling like I'm not worthy of it. It's the thing of so many other people are worthy of it, and I don't want to claim something that we all should honor ourselves with. That's it.
And yet, you are choosing to tell independent stories. So now, watch how smooth this transition is. That word. Let's talk about 127 easy steps because it's the live show, it's a film, it's a book, it's a podcast. Did I forget anything? It's a jello mold.
Live show and a movie. The rest is still in the works.
Oh, it's a live show, it's a film, and podcast and book to come. Okay. But you've created this theatrical experience where the audience contributes. Not just contributes, controls the story.
Yeah, picks the numbers.
Yeah. So controls the event, we could say.
Yeah,
That's a metaphor for life and for trans life. And so your independent stories are trans 101, but we could say trans 401. We could, right? They're graduate level perhaps. And you're doing a continuation of the work. It's just not under the conditions that you did them before.
well, and that's exactly what I mean. So, okay, this the long and short of it is, I was very privileged and lucky enough to go to college, and I was also privileged enough to be able to study theater. And in my theater program, it was connected to a professional theater company, and so students got parts. And basically, like throughout your 4 years, you would get a part at every level. You'd have a lead role. You'd have all these things. My gender expression, I was getting A pluses in my classes. Okay. And my gender expression was explicitly why I wasn't getting roles in the conservative theatrical.
I'm going to barf.
Yeah, but it was. And
Yes.
the teachers themselves, the professors and the other professionals were like, like they were grappling with it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote my first one person show, which was called Underground Transit, and did it for my professors. And they, at that moment in Atlanta, Georgia, in the year 2000, offered me a one person show, like offered me a production of my own so that I could have the professional development experience of carrying a show, right?
Mm.
That was their motivation. It was purely practical, and it was like, we owe you this in the education, right, that you're supposed to be getting. And so I got to do that. Now I had to write it for myself, so it's sort of like my independence was necessary because there wasn't much,
Yes.
you know that I could do. And I've continued that because I'm early, and I have ideas before they catch on. And if I want them to happen, I can wait 10 years or I can do it myself, you know? And as an artist, that's where I want to be. I want to be
I
surfing
mean,
that edge, you know?
you could wait years or you could do it yourself. Yeah, okay, so I'll tell you a funny story. And we've talked about this, we've joked about this. I majored in musical theater. And so at my college, we would have talked to you. We were musical theater and theater, two different worlds.
Two different worlds, very different.
Two different styles, two different approaches to life. That's just a joke. We talked about, well, when did you, I sort of took your question to be like, when did you come out, right, as non-binary and trans? But in musical theater college, they would assign me masculine roles so I would be quote unquote marketable.
Mm-hmm.
But every time I did something, I wrote, for example, the first musical I wrote for myself, I was Dolly Madison. And every time I had say, what'd you say?
So you were doing Oh Mary, what Dolly Madison.
Kind of, decades before. But really interesting, I understand from Cole that like the idea was in 2009 to start doing Oh Mary, and here we are in 2025. But anyway, in 1990, late 90s, when I was in college, whenever I had the chance, whenever I had the say, it was the queerest shit you could imagine. And whenever they had the say, it was the non-queerest that you could possibly imagine. But that's your life too. We make our way.
Yeah, we do. I mean,
and sometimes we feel like that's a burden, but mostly I think it's a good thing because we get those skills to just do it. Am I deluding myself?
No, you're not. But you and I, when we talk one-on-one, right? We support each other through that, right? Because it's hard. It's very lonely. Sometimes you want there to be an industry around you. You want there to be a machinery around you that you just slot into and the whole thing works for you, right? Like that's the privilege that so many white cis able-bodied people get in Hollywood, right? They just can slip in and everything works for them. And yes, it's harder. You have to learn, the jobs I have done just to be an artist, right? It's like I'm a web developer and a graphic designer, and I understand promotion and impact, producing, and right, like I've had to learn 10 different full-on full-time jobs, right, to just be able to do what I do. It's very hard. And I mean, yeah, okay, now that we're talking about it, I do feel proud of myself. That does make me feel great. But most of the time I'm banging my head against my desk like, why does this have, why won't anyone get behind me? And it messes with your head. It makes you think, and I say this in Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps right at the top in the movie. I just say it made me feel like I was not a good artist and therefore not a good person. And I still struggle with that.
Ooh, not a good artist and therefore not a good person. Not comprehensible. Not bottleable, not marketable. Okay. One last thing I want to talk to you about. I am doing a project that I can't talk about. But that's what this question's about.
Oh yeah, well, let's bring it up on a podcast. Great.
Zach's involved, but I can say this. It was the first time I had been on a set to make something where I was surrounded by mostly trans people.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time, I was able to act. And I don't mean that in you can't act or kind of way. I just mean it was the first time I was on set for a project where I didn't have to balance a trillion other things.
Right. Explaining things to other people, being the representative,
feeling like a freak, having the sound guy be uncomfortable, etc., on and on. And I had this thought while I was on set, oh, this is what Meryl Streep experiences. She can just go on set and be herself and do her acting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. And
so
the power that you can collect behind that when you don't have all that other stuff.
Yes. Okay, so tell me a story about what you are creating, that space for yourself and that space for anyone who's with you and behind you.
Well, it's funny because I'm sort of like in a phase where I almost can't talk about it. Right.
Another like an NDA situation, or you just don't have the words yet?
So it's so germinal, right? But okay, here's a good one.
Yeah.
So I'm creating this. So I have to release Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps, the 1 hour special myself, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
just stumbled in. I was all excited. I was like, you know, the world's going to go the way I think it's going to go. And then I'll be able to just walk into Netflix and sell my one man show. And then everything changed, right? So I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just going to be realistic, right?
Yeah.
Not because it's not good, but it's because of the
The
industry
world.
economy that we're in. And so luckily, I am finding places that will support me. The film is currently on a platform called Kinema, and Kinema exists exactly for this. If you go there, it's Kinema, like cinema with a K. Kinema.com. You go there, and there's all of this independent work, right? And a
Mm.
lot of it is social issues based, but a lot of it isn't directly social issues based as well. So right now they have a couple different ways. So in this moment, you can't just go there and see Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps. It's not available on demand just yet. I'm waiting, I think, until 127 of next year to actually release it into the world. But what I'm doing right now is Kinema has this awesome like platform where they do all of the work for you, and you can run fundraisers that benefit other groups. So I did one in March for Lambda Legal, and it was incredible. It was like 700 people signed on all at the same time, 7 o'clock, to watch my show. And then I had an amazing conversation with Peppermint and Vico Ortiz and Lambda Legal, where we were talking about the issues, and Lambda Legal got to get out all of their stuff about how you can help and what you can do. And people made donations, and it was amazing. But also, it was this way where I was able to tell my story, then ask my friends who are trans with very different experiences than me to come on and tell their story. And I've since replicated that in other venues where, like PFLAG in Gainesville, Florida, brought 4 people who also have very different experiences and tell very different stories. And I got the really amazing privilege of getting to sit with them and run a workshop with them individually. So I was like, okay, tell me, what's the story that you tell? And most of them did the explainer. And I was like, okay, you're good at that. But what's the story that you want to tell? What's the
Mm-hmm.
story that stopped your heart? What's the story that changed everything for you? And then they told that story. And that is exactly the work I want to see in the world. So between now and whenever I release Becoming a Man for you to just see whenever you want, I'm doing a tour, and I invite people to help me do this tour because that's what it takes. It takes people in communities who want to do it, and it's super easy to do on Kinema. You can do it in your living room. You can do it in a movie theater. You can do it anywhere you want. You can do it online. But it's a way where we can amplify the local voices of the trans people wherever you are and help them hone their stories so they're not being the explainers anymore, right? And just speak trans stories louder than ever, which is more important than ever.
So you're a conduit for those coming after you and those with you. Okay. I say you are. And what I say goes on my own podcast.
Okay, what I love so much about you, Jeffrey, and what I've always loved.
I swear, people are going to think that I do this podcast just for the compliments. Go ahead.
If so, the thing that really attracted me to you in the first place is that your work is about liberation, right?
Mm.
And that's your spiritual work, and it's your work in the world, and we share that in common, right? And so for me, being an independent artist isn't about going it alone. I don't want to be alone, actually. I really don't, right? It's about following a path toward liberation. And that liberation is for me, but it's also for my audience and it's for my community, right? Like those are the sort of three pieces that those are three pieces that are really important to what I do. And why I sort of caveat that is, okay, I think Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps, I think people will say that it hits all three. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky. But then I think about a project that I did, which you came to the premiere of, Off Ramp. And Off Ramp is this wild independent film about two juggalos, and I played a juggalo. And if you don't know what a juggalo is, not a gigolo, a juggalo. Okay, look it up. And I mean, it was the role of a lifetime. It was everything I wanted.
You were brilliant
to this character.
I gotta say.
Thank you. I mean, it was amazing. Now, some people in the trans community had a real hard time with that character and things he said. And I mean, the film itself is not unproblematic, right? There's stuff to be unpacked. I totally agree. And one a trans actor said like, oh, I was, someone offered me that role and I wouldn't take it, right? And I was like, well, you just missed the opportunity, because I had like the experience, like a peak experience in life, even something that I knew going in was going to be a little problematic to some people. And that was the thing, because what I realized was it liberated me as an artist and the audience that it was too. It wasn't for trans people. It was for a much broader audience. And we didn't know this, but it's a cult classic. The Juggalos have already made it that, right? Juggalos, it liberated Juggalos around trans issues. And I know that because of the DMs that keep sliding into this, just continue to slide in, right?
Yep.
I know that because of sitting in the movie theater with people and walking out afterwards and them being like, brother, you know what I mean? Like that, I had no idea. I love this. I love you. That's the embracing that I've been looking for in all of my corporate trainings, right?
Of course. And now it's happening for you artistically. Yes.
When Ouija Mac, who is like one of the biggest Juggalo acts out there, right, is going on, people are hating on the movie because of the trans stuff, and he just comes into the comments and he's like, yo, you know what I mean? And he's just like there for trans
advocating
because of that movie, right? So like, it's okay that it didn't liberate everybody, but it was that, you know what I mean? So I figured now it's like, it's got to do two of the three, right? And that you do have to go independent to do that, because I don't know. I don't know that Marvel movies are doing that.
Well, let us continue to do our liberation through independence. Long may it be so. Thank you, Scott. Love you lots. Take good care of yourself.
Oh, well, thanks, love. I really appreciate it. And I'm so glad you're doing this, and I'm so excited for all of the people who get to experience you through it.
Yeah, thank you. All right, skip ahead. Do you know that from?
I do. From what? From what?
The troll and Sutton Foster.
Pay the troll toll to get into this. Never
and the
mind.
donkey, the donkey and the
Shrek.
Yes, there you go. They fart.
Thank you.
Remember musical theater history.
I do know.
Okie dokie. We're in a good mood today, and we're really having fun. You would like to guide this next segment, would you not, Zach?
It depends on what it is. What is it?
Are you looking at the outline, Zach?
No, I am. I'm being cheeky. I'm so sorry. I'm being cheeky.
I'll do it if you want. It's time for trivia.
I do have a trivia question for you. Very in theme with today's episode.
Oh, good.
Dear Jeffrey,
yes.
How many openly LGBTQ actors have ever been nominated for an Academy Award in an acting category? So Best Actor, Best Actress, Supporting, while publicly out at the time of nomination.
Oh, of all time?
Yeah, of all time.
Okay.
Who were also, out at the time. So not
Academy Award.
And then they came out.
Oscar, out at the time of nomination of all time.
Yeah.
Beyond. Like, it's a totally different discussion, by the way, whether, the binary gender categories and how we accommodate more folks within the Academy. But of all time, 15.
Okay.
Good. Now we're wish casting.
Yeah, 15. I was like, dang. What
But of all
world do you
time.
live in?
Oh, but out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody
No,
was
15.
LGBTQ out in like 1930. But here we go.
Well, we haven't existed before 2012.
Here we go. Trendy.
Right.
Here we go. It's time for some ads. And you know what that means. It's time to not click away. It's time to click on. It's time to listen. It's time to support. And we thank you for it. We'll be back right after this. It is time for the community question. I really love this part. This is my favorite part of I say they're all my favorite part. It's like children. I love community questions and I love hearing from the community. You have something for me?
I do.
Ooh, what is that called?
Was that nice?
Oh gosh, when you can hear the angst and the
It's called Kardashian.
Kardashianing your 16 bars. Okay, great.
I do. Okay, Jeffrey, my community question.
Please don't do
I'm
that.
done. I'm already done. From your community online, Jeffrey Safe Space, which you can join at jeffreymarsh.com. Yes.
The Discord.
The Discord is. Jeffrey, I have a passion project, but everyone says it's too niche or not commercial. Ouch. How do I honor my indie instincts and still find an audience?
Oh, now wait, there's several things in here. Let's put a pin in finding an audience. That's a skill set. You can, you can these days type it into ChatGPT, look it up on YouTube. You'll get help with that. But you come to me for the spiritual stuff. And I want to start with the very beginning. If everyone in your life is treating you like that, it's time for a new set of everyone. I'm going to be bold. I'm just going to declare that if everyone who surrounds you disrespects this thing that you're passionate about, it's time to reassess. It's time to reconfigure and maybe time to move on from some relationships. Have you ever done that, Zach?
Yes. And specifically creative, a very particular creative friendship relationship of mine ended because of the creative part. We just worked differently and it wasn't working out. And I would love to say we amicably parted ways. I got broken up with. But I mean, what's important though is I never strayed from myself. I wasn't willing to sacrifice myself for this person who I realized had never seen me all along.
Well, yeah, and if you're doing things independently, it can sometimes be a lonely road, and that's okay. We've been zeroing in on that message today that sometimes you're forging a brand new path, and other people are not going to understand that. And that's all right. One of your jobs with this is to find the folks that do get it and do your best to cling to those people desperately and codependently. It's now time for, that was a joke, everyone. Don't do that. It's time for some more ads, and when we come back, we'll have the answer to the trivia about the Academy Awards. You know what we should do now that we're back? We should tease the question before the ads. And then they're thinking about it. They're thinking about it during coaching for Jeffrey. They're thinking about it during Jeffrey's safe space. They're thinking about it during insert. They didn't sponsor us, so I won't mention them. Brands right here.
I actually think that in the pilot we did. Then I stopped.
Yes, well, that's like the pilot and first season of the Wonder Woman series with Linda Carter was set in World War II. And then in season 2, they just came back and it was set in the 1970s. We did it. We pulled one of those.
We pulled a pilot test and then got rid of. We did that. We did that ourselves. Okay.
So trivia answer?
Trivia answer. And I'm going to leave all that in the episode. I think it's important for people to hear.
They need to see the behind the scenes.
They need to hear imperfection. Because I think me and you give off such perfect energy.
All the time.
It's important to know that we're not aliens. Okay, Jeffrey, our trivia question again was, how many openly LGBTQ actors, or 2S LGBTQIA+ actors, have ever been nominated for an Academy Award in an acting category while publicly out at the same time, or publicly out at the time of the nomination?
Did you just an absolute niche sub trivia to the trivia? Did you put in the Canadian acronym for LGBTQ into
what? 2S LGBTQIA+?
Yeah.
I say it in writing. I don't always say it. It's a mouthful, but I just want to encompass everybody.
No, I love it. I mean, it's one of my, like, of the global, because this probably cis people may not know, or straight people may not know, that in different cultures and different places, it's not, the American way is the predominant one, of course, because we don't need to get into all that. But LGBTQIA plus is how America does it, but different countries have different variations, and the Canadian one, for example, includes Two-Spirit and designates that. So I love that we're inclusive. Now, what did I say? 15.
You said 15.
I'm sticking with it.
You want a little Canada? Mais la réponse. Teddy scans.
When I was in high school, when I was in high school, we went to Niagara Falls, the Canadian side, and I thought I was the hottest. Because you go into the convenience store, you pick up the Pringles. One side's English, one side's French. And I was like,
wow.
I'm fancy.
Wow. My roach poison
is in French.
is in English on one side. Korean on the other.
You do live in New York City, don't you?
I live in New York City.
What's the answer? How wrong was I?
No, you were just optimistic, and I appreciate that. The answer is 7.
Oh, well, yeah.
The answer is 7. Well, nice. I mean, more than 5. I actually have them.
Oh, I was going to say, do you have the names? Let's go.
Should I say them? I'm going to say them all and give them their due.
Please.
And if I mispronounce them, just please be kind.
But tell
Paul.
No, before you do, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Tell them again. These are people who are out at the time of being nominated. That does deserve a lot of respect.
Oh, for sure.
Academy Award.
For sure. Okay. For sure. Paul Winfield, Best Actor for Sounder, 1972. Tom Hulce, I want to say Hulce, but Hulce, Hulce, Best Actor nominee for Amadeus, 1984. I'm really ashamed I don't know that. His last name, I mean. Nigel Hawthorne, Best Actor nominee for The Madness of King George, 1994. Colman Domingo, we love, Best Actor nominee for Rustin, 2023. Cynthia Erivo, Best Actress nominee for Wicked, 2025. Carla Sofia Gascon, Best Actress nominee for Emilia Perez, 2025. And Jodie Foster, Best Actress nominee for Nyad, 2024, who had been previously nominated, but this is her first time, supposedly, as an out. Alphabet.
Okay, so two things that I'm just dying over, but also living for 1972.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
We're into that. And then it was 74 or something. But what's up with the big long gap? What was going? Who was being anti-LGBTQ between like 96 and 2023?
Not to get really dark. AIDS.
Oh, yes, but AIDS started in the 80s. We don't need to argue about it. But yeah.
Oh no! This isn't an argument. Yeah.
I mean, I
don't
think you're
think
right.
you wanted to be.
That destroyed the lives of a lot of people in the industry. You're right.
Well, and God forbid you would be perceived as I guess the only options were gay. I mean, people existed. I'm not saying the only options were gay, lesbian. Our audience knows what I mean in the vocabulary, right?
Yeah.
And to be seen as somebody who could potentially pass on that illness, I don't think you wanted to be
Stigma is what you're saying.
associated with that. Yeah.
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 I'm old. I remember those times.
Wow.
On that note, everybody, have a great day.
It's just the truth. It's just the truth. I know it's hard to talk about, but
we bring it all into this show, and everyone is welcome, and all that we deal with as a community makes us the universal story. So I have some talking points for you. Talking points of fun, of joy, of taking care of yourself, of loving yourself. Those of you watching the video today can see my eyes are off to the side a lot because, the nails are done. I watch myself. If you can only hear my voice and you're not watching the video, you're missing the nails. Independence isn't isolation. Many times it's intention. And you don't have to wait for an invitation. You can make your own stage. And you can make your own opportunities. And I don't want that to get swallowed up by self-hate. Please. You don't have to make your own opportunities perfectly or the most, but you can do it. Our worth isn't measured by budgets or awards. Our worth is found in our courage, our creativity, and our dedication to the truth. Be the person who says, fuck it, and then watch what happens to the people around you. Be a beacon. Be a beacon. And one last thing. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths and allow yourself to settle into this space and this time. If you're folding laundry, I'll do something I don't usually do. I'm going to ask you to pause. Stop. If you're in a place where it wouldn't be safe to close your eyes, just play along as best you can. But if you're doing something, you can stop for a moment. Please do. Take your attention inward. And take 3 of the biggest breaths of your day. Maybe even the biggest breaths of your life. We so rarely take the time to be here, to feel what we feel, and for all of it to be okay. Thanks for your independent spirit. Take one more big breath. Sigh that exhale. And open your eyes. Welcome back. The way you feel, the way you take care of yourself, that's the real world. Love you lots, and I'll see you next time. This has been Inner Voice with Jeffrey Marsh. Today's episode was produced by Zach Latino. If you're ready to go deeper, transform your life, and experience personalized support, my one-on-one coaching sessions can be applied for at jeffreymarsh.com. Know someone perfect for Inner Voice? Send them our way. Have them visit jeffreymarsh.com to sign up for our exclusive online community, and we'll reach out if their inquiry aligns with an upcoming episode. Remember, you are worthy exactly as you are. See you next time.